Okay, anyway, so today I'm going to discuss about balance of payment, but we already have discussed about the concepts of balance of payment. So since many are not there, I'll just give you an idea about what is a balance of payment. Okay, so few things. One that balance of payment, it's a very important account of a country. Account here means balance of payment. It's a very important concept, and it is now simply we can say that it is the external account of the country. What it is? External account of a country. External account of a country. Since it is an account, it will be having a receipt part as well as a payment part. So this external, so we can say that it is a, when I say external account, this account reflect external transactions only, not domestic transactions, not internal transactions. All the external transactions, all the fund transfer between India and rest of the world. For example, if any of your relative is there in US and he is sending his salary back to India, is it an external transaction? Yes. We call it as remittances. That name is remittances. It's an external transaction. Why? Because the transaction is happening between India and a country outside. If your relative is there in Delhi and he is transferring money to his home, is it an external transaction? No. So it will not be reflected in the balance of payment. Only external transaction will be reflected in the balance of payment. Okay. So the common external transactions are during export, and when you export or when you import a good. So the money received or money you paid outside the country, it's an external transaction. Okay. So just have an idea. So we can say that balance of payment. So this word external account, it's a simple word. It is actually not the definition. It is for you to understand what is balance of payment. Okay. So you can say that balance of payment is a systematic record. It's a systematic account of a country. It is a balance of payment is the account of a country. Every country will be having a balance of payment. Okay, it's a systematic record of a country's external transaction. All its external transaction with the rest of the world. For since it is an account, it should be for a period. So the period here is 1 year. Okay. So now this external account or the balance of payment will be having two sub account. A very important account. A very important account. That is current account and capital account. Current account and capital account. And anyone have heard about this new word called current account deficit? Let's say I ask you that whether you are reading newspaper. Okay. So it comes regularly. This concept of current account deficit is related with this balance of payment. Okay. So again coming back. So we'll come to it. What is this current account deficit? So this balance of payment, which is an account, external account, has two account, sub account, that is current account and capital account. So if you add current account and capital account, what you will get? Balance of payment, which is again an account. Okay. Now you need to have an idea what all constitute current account. What all constitute current account. Okay. Again, current account has two sub account. Current account has two sub account. That is one A, trade account, B, invisible account. Okay. So these words are very important. Trade account, invisible account, etc. When I say trade account, you need to understand that it's something associated with trade. So what do you mean by trade? It's nothing but export and import. When see, even domestic trade is there. Say domestic. If somebody that is within India, so will that trade be reflected in this account? No, I use the word, always keep this in mind. That's a key word, external, only external trade. So if you trade outside the country, so either it has to be export or it has to be import. So if you are sending an item outside the country, you are sending an item to some other country from India, that is what is called as export. So in return, since you are sending, for example, okay, you are sending mangoes to US from India, we export mangoes to US. So from US, we will get in return US dollar. So that's export. Similarly, we import oil from Gulf countries. We import oil from Gulf countries. So that's an import and we have to make payment to those Gulf countries. Okay, so here in this account, the key thing, the key important point, can you see the board? So sit here. Sit there. Okay, so in this account, trade account, since from the term itself you get to know that it is something associated with trade. So export and import will be there. So since it is an export, actually in the account where you will reflect, export means the country is receiving money. When you export something, in return you are getting foreign currency. So keep this in account, a very important point. Since it is an external account, all the transaction will be in foreign currency, not in Indian currency. Okay, so US will not accept Indian currency. And US don't have Indian currency. US have only, so every country will be having a foreign currency. So not every country's currency will be accepted. Only acceptable foreign currencies are there. Acceptable foreign currency. And the most acceptable foreign currency is US dollar. Because of its economic might. US is the largest economy in the world. Okay, so because of that, US dollar is acceptable to anyone. So most of the trade is done in US dollar. So the key thing is that, so since export result, if anyone from the country exports something, it results in receipts. And that receipts, so export, so under the receipt only we'll put export. Similarly, if it is an import, it is, we are making payment from the country. So it is, import will come under payment. Now the key thing regarding trade account is that it only reflects merchandise trade. Or merchandise, here trade is merchandise, here it only reflects on merchandise goods. Okay, so merchandise goods, not services. Under trade account, there will be no services, only goods will be there. So only, why I use the word merchandise goods here? Merchandise goods are those goods which are legally you can trade. Legal goods which can be traded. So there are many goods which is not legal to trade. For example, cocaine, can you trade? It's a good. It's not a legally good. Okay, so it's not a merchandise good. Okay, so merchandise goods only will be reflected in the trade account. Okay, now invisible account. So this is second account. Okay, from the term itself you can understand that, okay, trade account is a visible. The items which you trade can be visible for you. Anything you import and export, the merchandise goods, since it's a good, any good, you can see it. But invisibles, under the invisible account, what all thing is there, you cannot see it. When you say that money has been transferred to your account, can you see it? No, you can only see that money have reached your account. But when you say that exports are being exported, goods are being exported, you can see that, okay, goods is being packed. Either it is exported through, most of the goods are exported through ship. Okay, so if you go to the port, you can see that goods kept in a container. Okay, so be very clear with it. Okay, so under invisibles, so key thing is that in trade account only goods are there, no services is there. So a very important point. Services is coming under invisible account. Service export, service imports comes under invisible account. Now there are many services are there. Common services are like tourism. Tourism comes under services. Education is a services. Banking is a services. Insurance is a services. Telecommunication is a services. Many services are there. And India is one among the country where we are expertise in services, especially service exports in relation to IT, information technology. Especially software developing is a service. So we develop the software and export to US. So we receive receipts. Okay. So if we export software or services, it will be reflected here. That's why it's called as non-factor services. Basically, it is services. Then this another term. So within the investable account, say I told you in the trade account only merchandise goods are there. In the investable account, three components are there. One is services, or also called by the name non-factor services. It is basically service exports and service import. Then investment income. From the term itself, you can understand what is investment income. Investment income means the income, say you think that, okay, what is your investment income? Then you can understand here what is investment income. If suppose you are making an investment, in the sense that you are buying a flat. You are buying a flat. Okay, so if you are buying a flat, is it your investment? It's your investment. And if you give that flat for rent, okay, you bought a flat and you are given that flat for a rent, and every month you will get rent. So the rent you receive is what is called as your income from investment, or another name is investment income. The money you invest in the flat is not investment income. Suppose you are purchasing a flat for 30 lakh. That is not investment income. That is only investment. Investment income is the income you are getting from that investment. So the rent is, similarly you are investing in a fixed deposit, a fixed bank deposit, fixed deposit for 1 year or 2 year or 5 year. So every year you will get interest. So the interest is investment income, but the bank deposit is your investment. So don't get confused. So here, now my question is, since it is an external account, what is here investment income means? In foreign investment. So here, if a foreigner invests in India, if you invest in a bank, that will not be reflected here because it is not external transaction. Okay, so here the investment income means a foreign investor investing in India. Similarly, an Indian investing outside the country, and if he is getting income, so if imagine that, okay, this Ratan Tata has purchased many assets outside the country, and he is getting income from it, and he is bringing back that income to our country. So that will be reflected here in the receipts part. Similarly, a foreign investor investing in India and taking his income back to his country. So his income will be reflected here in the payment part. So are you clear with it? Investment income. The third one is transfers, or another name is private transfer. Okay, if you transfer, example for transfers are gift. Okay, if somebody gives you gift or you are gifting, but it should be between countries. You are not gifting, you are gifting a brother who is in US, or your brother is gifting you something which from US or from any other country. But the most important transfer is remittances. The most important transfer is remittances, means your relative transferring salary from the country where he is working to his home country. A foreigner in India transferring his salary to his home country. So one has to be receipt and one has to be payment. So the remittances is the most common transfers. So these three, that is non-factor services, investment income, transfers, all constitute investable account. Okay. Now UPSC have already asked a prelims question. Okay. What all constitute current account? And the answer was trade account, plus in the answer it was given as trade account and investable account. So answer was, they didn't ask specifically this, they asked these two accounts. So current account has only two accounts, that is trade account and. Now in short we can say that, in simple term we can say current account are those receipts and payment in relation to your current transactions, your day-to-day transactions. Your means day-to-day transaction of a country. So it can be government transaction, it can be private transaction, private enterprise transaction, it can be individual transactions also. But it has to be, condition is that it has to be external transaction. It has to be external transaction. So That's regarding current account. Now, every account will be either that account will be in surplus or that account will be in deficit. So, it's a new term regarding surplus and deficit. So, when you say that you are in deficit, when you say that you are in surplus, imagine that in your own case, okay. If you imagine when you have a job, now it's not, you are not having job, okay. Once you get this service and you are earning, and if suppose your income is 75,000 or 1 lakh, you don't expect more than that, okay. So, if it is, that is your income, and if your income is 75,000 and if your expenditure is 50,000, you saved 25,000 per month, right? That is your surplus. So, when surplus can happen? Surplus can happen only when the receipts is more than your payment or your income is more than your expenditure. Reverse, if your expenditure is more than, we call it as deficit. So, presently, since this is an account, trade account, our trade account is in deficit. Our trade account is in deficit. Why? Imports is more than export, or our payment is more than receipts in relation to merchandise goods. So, trade account is in deficit. Investable account is in surplus because of the service factor. So, our service exports is high, as well as transfer mainly from remittances. So, but not investment income. Investment income is negative or in deficit. Why? So, we have received more foreign investment. So, when you are receiving more foreign investment, the income from the foreign investment will go back. Okay. So, anyway, but if you add all the three, investable account is in surplus, trade account is in deficit. Now, when you add these two, what is the balance of current account? Current account is also in deficit. Why? So, it means that trade account deficit or trade deficit is more than invisible surplus. So, because of that, our current account is in deficit. Very important concept, okay. Nowadays, every day or alternative days, there is a news associated with current account. Why means, you might hear that, okay, in the oil prices, especially in the last 2-3 months, have increased. So, because of high oil prices, our import bill have increased. Since our import bill increased, our trade deficit widened, trade deficit increased. So, trade deficit is already, we are having a trade deficit with increase in prices, this has widened and resulting in our current account deficit to be high. So, what is the problem? Why a country will get worried? Why a country will get worried when they are having current account deficit? I told you that the payment you make. So, the payment you make in relation to this account, make sure that you are getting two material. Okay, you got two materials, one small material. One is, okay, you will get two material. Okay, and those who have not, like you can take one more material after the class. Those who have not attended the earlier balance of payment. See, I am explaining all the concept. Only thing is that previous year question is there. You can collect that also. Okay, those who have not attended my balance of payment. So, that's why I am explaining this. Actually, this is that balance of payment is all about. Okay, so come back. See, go home and read. You can, anyway, it belongs to you now. Nobody is going to scratch it. Okay, so keep it. Now come back here. Okay, so listen to this. Okay, so now what I am trying to say is, our trade is in deficit or trade account is in deficit. We call it as trade deficit only. And when you read newspaper, you can see only trade deficit. Okay, so today I will share you and 3 or 4 days before article. Okay, on this balance of payment in your Telegram channel. Just after reading this material, you read that newspaper and you will be very happy, because what will happen? You will understand what is that news is all about, economy news. Okay, so anyway. So, you can do one more thing, especially those who are in the final year or in the second year, you can start reading this, the news related articles which we are sharing in our different Telegram channels. Okay. Anyway, so current account, my question is that why we are worried about this. So government is very much worried about, RBI is very much worried about current account deficit. Why so? And try to understand that in economy there are many macroeconomic indicators are there, and one of the most important indicators is current, we call it as in short CAD, current account deficit. When you hear in economy, CAD means current account deficit. So what does this current account deficit means that? Okay, it means that we are consuming more goods and services than we produce. But here the interesting point is that the goods and services, especially that here it's not produced in India. Okay, so anyway, what is the problem with the current account deficit? That I told you, everything is in foreign currency. Now, if it was in Indian currency, there was no problem. If it was a deficit, RBI will print a new currency and we can use that currency to make the settlement. Since that is not possible, you cannot print US dollar, then it will be a violation. Okay, so what will happen is that since we are having current account deficit, we have to make, so more than we earn. How we earn? Through exports, through receipts. So more than we receive, we are making payment. So there is a deficit. So we have to always make payment for foreign currency when due to current account deficit. So what will happen is that a country's foreign reserves, foreign currency, every country will be having some reserves of foreign currency. That will get reduced. And try to understand, this is a current account. As the terms current account are day-to-day transactions. So for your day-to-day expenditure, if you are not having sufficient foreign currency, it shows that one of the most important indicators of a country is not stable. Now my question is, for a long time, for a quite long time, our current account is in deficit. Our current account is in deficit. So how India is managing with this current account deficit? How India is managing with this current account? It's mainly because of capital account. So what is balance of payment? Balance of payment not only about current account, it also includes capital account. So since our capital account is in surplus, so what happen is this deficit is managed by this surplus, and finally we are having our balance of payment is in surplus. But the problem with this capital account is that, as the term suggests, this capital which we received, the components under the capital account which we received, at any point of time, it can go back from the country if there is any instability in the country. So we cannot rely on capital account for a long term. Okay, so there is a problem with the capital. If it was current account was in surplus, means no problem for day-to-day transaction. We are having more foreign currency than what we make, but it is not that the situation. Situation is reverse. We are making more making payment, more foreign currency than what we receive. Now you see what are the capital account transaction. What all constitute capital account? First important thing, foreign investment. All the foreign investment will come under capital account. Okay. When we say foreign investment, it constitutes two components. Foreign direct investment and foreign portfolio investment. See, one example of foreign direct investment is that you heard about Vodafone. So Vodafone, it's a foreign company, it's a multinational company. What Vodafone have done is, it has acquired Indian company. So that is actually an example of foreign direct investment. A foreign company directly invested in India, and because the specialty of foreign direct investment is that when you make an investment, you will have, since your investment will be huge, means your bulk investment will be huge, and in FDI, normal cases, in almost all the normal cases, since the shareholding will be higher, for example, 51%, 76% FDI, you might have heard that 100% FDI. When you hear 100% FDI means he is completely buying a company, or the entire venture, entire project, or the company fully belongs to that particular foreign company. So if anything above 51%, above 50%, it means that foreign investor has the control over the company. The managerial control belongs to that foreign. Okay, so there are many examples for foreign direct investments. Many examples for foreign direct investments. Okay, so if a foreign company or a foreign investor invest in India and he set up a plant in India, goods producing something. Okay, so you have seen that foreign investors building many companies or many industrial companies or even services in India. So all comes under FDI. Now what is the difference between FDI and FPI? So one is direct investment, second is indirect investment, or it's in FPI the investment is small investment. The investment it's not bulk investment. Bulk investment happens in FDI. In FPI it is small investment. The investment will be less. Since the investment will be less, the foreign investor will not be having managerial control over the company. The company will be owned by some other person or by the Indian itself. Okay, so, but he is investing. So normally the investment, since this small investment, he can do it by purchasing the shares of in a company in the stock market. So the Indian company shares are traded in the stock market. So under foreign portfolio investment, this foreign investor purchase these shares from the stock market. So foreign portfolio investment is investment by a foreign investor in a share market and acquiring the shares of a company, and thereby what he earns is the profit. The profit he get from investing in a share market is investment income also. Is income from the investment. So don't get confused. This is foreign investment comes under capital account. The income from that foreign investment will come under current account. Be careful, okay? Don't get confused. Many students have a problem. They don't know why investment income is that. One is income, other is investment. I made it very clear. Then external assistance. Okay, when you hear the word, okay, one is external, you know what is external. Other is assistance. Assistance means it's basically a help. Okay, so normally it is a loan. External assistance is a loan. Then why it is called assistance? Because the interest rate is very low. Okay, for example, UNESCO or World Bank is giving money to India for a particular project. The interest rate they charges will be very low. It will not be market interest rate. Maybe 1% or 2%. So it's a very low interest rate. So external assistance are normally given by international institutions, development international institutions, or by certain countries like US or Japan. But if it is an external assistance, interest rate will be very low. Okay. Similarly, other one, external commercial borrowing. Okay, that is also loan. External assistance is also a loan. External commercial borrowing is also a loan. But this difference is that this external commercial borrowing, we call it as a loan which the interest rate is not high, but what market rate? The interest rate is market determined rate. Why it is called as commercial borrowing is that normally this borrowing, this loan is taken by a commercial enterprise, not by the government. This loan is taken not by the government, by a commercial enterprise. It can be a private enterprise or can be a public enterprise. But it is normally a company does it. So that's why it is called as commercial borrowing. But it is external. Obviously in balance of payment, everything will be external. Even if it is not mentioned, you need to understand that. So we call external assistance as soft loan. We call external commercial borrowing as hard loan. Why? One, interest rate is low. In soft loan, interest rate is low. In hard loan, interest rate is market determined. Then NRI deposits. NRI deposits. So NRI deposits and NRI remittance is different. Remittance means they are transferring salary to their home. for expenses. That's a day-to-day transaction. NRI deposits means they are depositing in an account like an FD, fixed deposit, for 2 year or 3 year or 5 year. So that's different. What will happen after the time getting matured? He will take back the money and go back. Okay, and again the interest from the NRI deposit is again investment income. The interest you receive for an NRI in this deposit is, NRI deposit is a foreign investment. It's an investment, and the interest he earned is investment income. That's the reason why, because of all these investment only, what will happen is that all the income from these investment comes under here and it has to be paid back. That's why investment income is negative also. Understand? Okay, just have an idea. So for you, 1 year UPSC asked a question on current account. They asked for the components of current account. 1 year they asked a question on component of capital account. And 2 times they asked, what do you mean by balance of payment? The concept of balance of payment. Okay, so this topic of balance of payment is very, very important for you. Okay, so what you need to understand is that current account is in deficit, but here trade account is deficit, investable account is surplus. Capital account is in surplus. So since capital account is in surplus, current account is in deficit, but if you add together, the surplus is more than this deficit. So we are having BoP surplus. Our BoP is in surplus. So current account is deficit, but how we manage? Because of this deficit is managed by capital account, and capital account is in surplus. So because of that, our BoP is in surplus. So if BoP is in surplus, what will happen to our country? Forex reserve. What will happen to the forex reserve? It will increase. Forex reserve will increase. Okay. Actually, this is what I have discussed in the last class. I hope that now you okay. Now we'll just the material which has been given is on first material, that small material, 1 page material is on analysis of. So you can go on. Just I told you, just see it. Okay. Make sure that you have that material. Okay. Make sure that you have the material. Okay. See the heading. What is the topic says about? Analysis of. Sit here. Analysis of balance of payment. Analysis of balance of payment. Okay. So we are already analyzed. What is analysis? What is balance of payment? What is, whether the current account is deficit or in surplus? Why it is in deficit? What is the problem of deficit? And how we managed it. Okay. Now I told you. So you know how BoP is related with forex reserve. If BoP, balance of payment, if BoP is in surplus, our forex reserve will increase. If BoP is in deficit, our forex reserve will deplete. Okay. Now, I just say a very important fact. Okay. So this BoP for 2017-18. BoP for 2017-18. Okay. So just have an idea. So when you hear the word, okay, official reserve assets, it's nothing but it is forex reserve assets. Okay. Anyway, this is a concern for the government. Okay. This is a concern. This is a current affair also. This is a concern for the government. Why? See in newspaper it will be mentioned like this. BoP. BoP means balance of payment. BoP for, I told you, BoP is an external account and it will be for a 1 year. So BoP for 2017-18. What do you mean by 2007? Why instead of writing 2017 or instead of writing 2018, why in economic, like when you read newspaper it is written like this? It is showing that financial year. It is a financial year. So this time period means, it starts from 1st April 2017. So this means 1st April 2017 to 31st. So those who don't know, please note down. See, one thing I'll just tell you, there is a difference. Okay. Now there will be some student, 1 or 2 students. Okay, will be thinking, yeah, I don't know financial year. Okay, So there is nothing wrong in it. And also you don't get worried, okay, see, I don't know anything, but these people, some people knows everything. It's not because that they are intelligent, it's because they already know it, or they might have attended some other classes and might have learned it. That's the difference. Okay, the difference here is, you started preparation now, they started preparation a bit earlier. But work hard, that you can compensate. This happens when you go for serious preparation also. So don't get worried, okay, it's not because that, its main reason is, you just started only. You're getting the point. So don't get, this happens with this many aspirants, especially freshers, just who started their preparation, they feel that, yeah, what is happening here? Sir says something, they are giving you answers. I don't know anything. So I am a person who can prepare for civil services. Don't think like that. You wait, you be patient. Be patient. You have lot of time. You can prepare. Okay. Anyway, I'm happy to hear response. But at the same time, those who are not responding, don't worry. Okay. That's the way you can react. You can react at a time. You should react when your name is there in your newspaper. When your photo comes in the newspaper. Not for bad reasons, for good reasons. Like, okay, so that you qualified, you are a topper, like that. Now, so just every time, okay, in budget, okay, as a economy student for civil services, you need to study only about 2 accounts. You have to study only about 2 accounts. So in the next class, I'll discuss about the second account, okay. So that is budget. Budget is a account. BoP is an account, but there is a difference. BoP is the country's account, country's external account. Budget is the government account. Budget is only government account. BoP is not only government external account. BoP is country's external account. Okay, so we'll discuss budget, but all these features like receipt, payment, surplus, deficit, everything will be there in budget also, because it's an account. These are the features of an account. Okay, so there also I'll use the word financial year. So economy, everything is reflected in the terms of financial year. National income, financial year. Budget, financial year. BoP, financial year, like that. So presently, our current, for the financial year for 2017-18, the BoP, so under BoP, the current account deficit is $. This value they will not ask, okay, 48 point, just I'm making you understand how huge is our BoP, current account deficit. It is approximately 49 billion US dollar. We just calculated, okay, how much is 1 billion? How many zeros are there in a billion? How many billions are there? How many? It's very easy, okay. It's very simple, okay. How many zeros are there in a million? 6. In billion, it is 9. Okay. So 1 million, so if it is 6 0, obviously it is 10 lakh. If it is 9 0, it is 100 crore. So 100 crore is 1 billion. 100 crore is 1 billion. So, but just add $1 is 68 rupees. Add how much? It is a huge. So we are making payment. Okay, we are making a payment in billion. That to 40. That is our current account deficit. That is our forex is for our day-to-day year transaction for a year. This much we are giving back. Now this deficit have increased in 17-18. Now, instead of knowing this value, this is not important. What is important is this one. That our 2017-18 current account deficit, how much is in relation to the national income? Now, what is GDP? How many of you don't know what is GDP? Don't worry. Reason is, these people have attended, they know what is GDP. So you are not attended. Anyway, we'll come to it, okay. GDP for time being, understand that it is nothing but the national income of a country. What is it? National income. National income means the income of the nation. So it includes everyone's government income, individual's income, private company income. Anybody who is there, anybody in the country who produces goods and services, it will be having a value. That value is what is total value, is what is called as national income. So every country is having a national income or GDP. Okay, from the term itself understand that gross domestic product. Okay, domestic, word is domestic. What is the value of the product which you produce here in your country? That is domestic region. So that product can be goods or services. In simple term, I'll use the word national income. So this deficit, every indicators will be linked to this national income in relation to GDP. Okay, so if from your national income, so even though this value, when you hear it looks big, but when you compare it with your national income, it is coming around 1.9% only. So our national income, you can understand that how much will be our national income. Okay, so if it is go beyond 2.5, it is a safe. Till 2.5, it is okay. 2.5% of GDP, it is okay. It's considered okay. But if it goes beyond that, it's a warning. At some period of time, we have touched 4% or 5% of GDP also. That is a very crucial thing. But try to understand that it was less than 1% in the previous year. It was less than 1%. So what happened in 17-18? Obviously, one is the trade problem, trade deficit problem. Second is the invisible surplus have decreased. Third is the capital flow. When we say capital flow, it includes the entire capital account. That also have reduced. So that's the reason why. Like, so this reduction in the capital account, so BoP, you know, current account, mainly because of trade and invisibles. So this, that is, we could not able to bridge properly with the capital account. So what happened in 17-18, the BoP have come down. Okay, so that's actually, we are trying to analyze it. Okay, so just have an idea. What I want suggesting is that every time these things you need to, what you need to stress on is that why our current account is increasing or decreasing, reason, plus what is the present status. For 17-18, what is the percentage of GDP, current account deficit? In 18-19, what will be? When you write on that particular year, prelims year, you need to note down what is the percentage of GDP to the, means current account deficit to percentage of GDP. That's it. Now, this are the top 10 countries in the world. These are the top 10 countries in the world with forex reserves. Forex, this is actually official reserve assets means nothing but forex reserves. Forex reserves. Okay, so today we will be discussing in detail about forex reserve. Okay, so before going that, just have an idea that where India stand. India is the 8th largest forex. This is a very important fact. Okay, India is having the 8th largest forex reserve, and it is coming around 424 billion in 2017-18. India's forex reserve is 424 billion US dollar. Now who is the first one? China. China is having 3 trillion. So trillion is 12 0. Like in CC 6 9 million 6 0 billion 9 0 trillion 12 0. So if you see that China is having almost 3,221 billion, or we can say that it is 3.2 trillion. So see the difference, almost 8 times excess forex reserve China is having. Now followed by China, it is Japan, Switzerland, Saudi Arabia, Taiwan, Russia, Hong Kong, then India. Now the specialty of these 7 countries, is that their forex, they are having a huge forex reserve mainly because they are having current account surplus. All these countries, all the 7 countries above India, their current account is in surplus. What does it mean? Their current account receipts, the current account receipts is more than current account payment. So their exports of goods and services more than their imports. So then that's normally every country accumulate reserves mainly because of current account surplus. and that has to be the case. But we know that in India's case is different. So India have accumulated forex reserve not because of current account, but because of capital account surplus, and that's the concern also. So you can say that India is the largest forex reserve holder which is having a current account deficit. Rest all the 7 is having current account surplus. Are you getting the point? Now, my question is, why US is not there? Why US is not there in the top 10 countries? US doesn't require reserve. Why they require their own currency is the reserves. US dollar is the reserve. Then why should you, anytime US can print currency? And that's, US can't print currency as they wish because there are many rules is there to print currency. That's a different thing we'll discuss on the money and banking. What I'm trying to say is, so basically US, so what US will show the entire currency they are having. So anyway, now try to understand that India is having, and then, so in this top 10, only India and Brazil is having current account deficit. Only India and Brazil is having current account deficit. So till in 2016-17, Brazil was ahead of India. But in 17-18, India forex reserve increased, Brazil decreased, and now see the difference, 382, now 424 billion. It's in billion. So that's the data you keep in mind. Now, so these are the few points, rest you can go and read material. We already discussed this is a summary of this analysis. Normally, countries accumulate reserve by exporting more than what they import. That is what I mean by current account, right? So export and import normally happens in current account. In capital account, normally it is, we are receiving capital account or we are making payment in, means capital transfer. Capital movement is happening. Capital movement happens in capital account. In current account, basically we import and export goods and services. So normally country, but if you see the IMF data on current account balance of the top 10 forex reserve holder, except India and Brazil, everyone is running surpluses. Running surplus means here, try to understand, we are talking about current account surpluses. They are not talking about BoP surplus. Without BoP surplus, nobody can accumulate reserves. Here the surplus means current account surplus. Okay. So just India has always had deficit on the merchandise trade account. In relation to invisibles, it has enjoyed trade. Now regarding, since invisible surplus have not exceeded trade deficits or current account, so it's there, always our current account is in. Already we have discussed it, okay. So this is the analysis of this BoP, okay. Now this figure, now keep this in mind, okay. How UPSC asks questions, it asks question in different way. One pattern of question UPSC asks is that, okay, they will ask you the trend of many indicators. They will ask you trends. They will ask you trends in relation to, they can ask trade account. So what all things you studied today? You studied about trade account. You studied about invisibles account. Then you know about current account. So if you add trade account balance and invisible account balance, you will get current account balance. This net capital inflows means the entire capital account. When you say net capital inflow means, net means by how much you receive, then how much you pay, means receipts and payment, and what is the balance, that is net capital inflow. So if you add the net capital inflow to the current account balance, what you will get? You will get BoP surplus, or we will get balance of payment. So since our BoP is in surplus, it will be added to the reserve accretion, or it will be added to the reserve, that is what is called as reserve accretion. And finally, it is giving a data about the foreign exchange reserve. Why it is giving end March? End March, what is the specialty of March end? We discussed financial year closing. That's the reason why you might have noticed that on 1st April, bank will be a holiday. Why? They'll say that it's not because it's on April Fool, it's because that they are closing the bank account. 31st, they are finishing off. They have to finish all the accounts of bank have to finish the. So they say that due to financial year closing, there will be no bank today. Anyway, so now this, what I'm trying to say is that UPSC question now they ask is that they will say that a particular indicator is consistently increasing, a particular indicator is consistently decreasing. So if you know the pattern, you can understand that whether it is consistent increase or consistent decrease, or if it is not there, you can say that that statement is correct or wrong. Now if you see that our trade account, see from 2001 to 2017-18, latest data is available for 2017-18. You can see that in the last 18 years, our trade account was always in deficit. Data says. So trade account is in deficit. Now when it comes to the invisible account was always in surplus. Is it clear? Now when it comes to the current account balance, how can you calculate current account balance? Add trade balance, invisible balance. You'll get, we already studied. Okay. Now if you see the current account balance, okay, this is actually in first 3 years, that is 2001 to 2, 3 and 3, 4, current account was in surplus. But after 2004-5, if you see from 2004-5 onwards, our current account, so if UPSC says that India never in history had current account surplus. Is it a correct statement? No. We had, but not very rarely. We had current account. So what is the reason for current account surplus? Because invisible account balance was more than trade deficit. Then only this will happen. Already I told you trade. So this analysis, it's not about data. It's about analysis. You should know. They can ask you questions like this. Now if you see the net capital inflows, capital account was always in surplus. Capital account was always in surplus. So this surplus and this deficit, except this balance, except this deficit, now if you add together, what you will get? BoP. Now you see that is there any year where BoP was in deficit? Yes, there were 2 years BoP was in deficit. That is in 8, 9 and in 11, 12. There were 2 years. So in these 2 years, what happened to the forex reserve? It depleted. But rest of the time, it got added. So if you see the 2017-18 also, in 2017-18, 43 billion was added to our forex reserves. And it touched 424 billion. It touched 424 billion. So that is mentioned in million. So you have to convert 30. So it, now why in 2017-18 we added 43 billion? It's because you see the difference of capital inflows in 17-18 compared to, see the difference? There is a huge increase in the capital inflow. See, our trade deficit has increased, but surplus increase is not that much high. But the huge capital inflows helped us for a BoP surplus of nearly 43 billion. I told you there is a problem with capital inflow. At any point of time, this foreign investment, commercial borrowing, all are, you have to pay back or they can go back. But current account, no problem, okay. So that's regarding the analysis of balance of payment, okay.